In the news this week, Judgment Day for Bradley Edwards as he faced his sentencing.
Better and worse, Aboriginal activists reflect on the year of Black Lives Matter.
Don't overspend, how to keep your spending in line this Christmas.
And on Western Perspective, part 4 of the Recap 2020 interview series with 2 Indigenous activists.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Sarah Smith.
Good evening. The Claremont serial killer was sentenced today more than 20 years after the murders of Jane Rimmer and Kira Glennon in 1996 and 97. It's a verdict that will finally provide justice for the families of Bradley Robert Edwards victims. Reporter Nelson Liu was in court.
The rest of Bradley Robert Edwards' life has been determined, with the convicted Claremont serial killer learning how much time he'll be spending behind bars. Edwards remained stoic inside the district court as Justice Stephen Hall handed down his sentence, while calling Edwards a dangerous predator whose actions were premeditated and remorseless. For the murders of Jane Rimmer and Kira Glennon, he was served 2 life sentences with a minimum of 40 years each.
It is accepted on your behalf that sentences of life imprisonment on each of counts 7 and 8 would not be unjust in the circumstances of this case. That concession is clearly correct.
But Edwards was also sentenced for crimes in 1988 and 1995, with 33 years for a break-in and attack on a woman in Huntingdale and abduction and rape of a 17-year-old woman at Karrakatta Cemetery. The announcement resulted in cheers in the public gallery, with the Rimmer and Glennon families' long wait for justice now over. Edwards was convicted in September of abducting and killing Rimmer and Glennon in 1996 and 1997, but was found not guilty of the murder of Sarah Spears. All 3 women disappeared after a night out with friends in Claremont. Police Commissioner Chris Dawson said the community didn't have to fear Edwards any longer. Speaking outside court, he called Edwards a sadistic killer and rapist who preyed on innocent women.
The jailing of Edwards means the community is now safe from this terrible person. It is my sincere hope, for the sake of victims, for the sake of the families and friends, and indeed for the safety of our community, that Edwards will never be released from prison.
After today, Edwards will be on the clock to lodge any appeal against the murder convictions, the sentences, or both. If not, the sentences will be served concurrently, with Edwards expected to be 88 years old when he's eligible for parole. Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
As we draw to the end of 2020, Indigenous activists gave their retrospective on the events of the year and their thoughts on Black Lives Matter. Megan and Mervyn said though the movement changed the way many people think, it hasn't made the changes they were hoping for. As they look forward to the future, their hope is for more political will to change lives. Kit Sanders with this exclusive report.
Megan Krakow and Mervyn Eads have been working to improve the lives of Aboriginal people in WA for many years, helping to prevent suicides and get people back on their feet after getting out of prison. Mervyn said this year's Black Lives Matter movement has moved the needle of public opinion.
The most positive achievement of Black Lives Matter was that it came to the forefront and it was spoken about and talked about, and it's not just some black people saying, oh, poor old me.
Megan says that Black Lives Matter hasn't achieved the tangible improvements to Aboriginal people's lives.
Right now in Western Australia, we are the mother of all jailers. There's 1 in 12 Aboriginal men still in prison today, 1 in 12. So that's the worst across this nation.
But Megan says Black Lives Matter hasn't achieved the tangible improvements to Aboriginal people's lives.
In terms of Black Lives Matter and the incarceration, it hasn't made a difference.
Megan and Mervyn do believe that things will improve.
But you are hopeful that next year will be better?
We're hopeful.
I'm hopeful every year.
Kit Sanders, WAMN News.
Families often put Christmas on credit cards, but certified financial planner Elson Gold says we're often taking on more debt than we realise.
In December 2018, Australia racked up $30 billion in Christmas debt. Elson says people need to be wary about how much debt they take on. He also said though many families take up to 5 months to pay off their Christmas credit card debts, it's possible to reduce that.
take active steps to look at cutting down your spending, making sure that you're putting aside some amount of money. If you can, make your repayments earlier rather than wait for the bill, because every time when the interest is ticking along, the earlier you pay off your credit card debt, the less interest will be charged.
WA's peak organisation for Australian Chinese has taken to the streets to spread Christmas cheer for those less fortunate this week. Chunghwa Association WA has sponsored 200 subway lunches for Perth's rough sleepers to celebrate the association's 110th year anniversary. Jenny Chong, Chunghwa's Honorary Secretary, says it's all about reaching out to people who feel hopeless.
It's a very challenging time for everyone with COVID, and also Christmas coming up is not probably the most pleasant time for some people. So we've partnered with Subway and a few of the Chinese community members who have sponsored this giveaway. Hopefully we can bring a little Christmas cheer to everyone in the community, especially those who don't have a place to stay.
The man who runs Australia's toughest rehab centre has announced a tilt at Parliament. Today, Peter Linden James runs Shalom House, a rehab centre with a sky-high success rate. Linden James is running as an independent for the East Metro Upper House seat and has pledged to fight to turn the prison system around and abolish mandatory sentencing. Linden James says helping families to parent effectively is at the top of his to-do list, along with keeping local and state governments accountable.
As the weather heats up, regulators are reminding families of the dangers that unfenced pools can pose to small children. On average, 1 child a year drowns in a portable pool in Australia, and it's children under 5 who are most at risk. The Building and Energy Department says pool fences, even for portable pools, can help prevent tragedies. If that's not enough incentive, you can be fined for not having a fence around your pool. So remember to stay safe while keep cool this Christmas.
If you've got concerns about the safety of your children, maybe don't get one of these little portable swimming pools, or if you do, make sure you pack it away when you're finished with it, don't leave it with water in it, and supervise your children as best as you can.
European nations are shutting their borders against the United Kingdom as it goes into another lockdown for Christmas. Countries such as the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Austria and Italy have all imposed flight bans or border closures. This comes following a new strain of COVID-19 being discovered in Britain, with the country's chief medical officer warning that the new strain is more infectious as it gets out of control. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has advised European countries to tighten their measures as the new variant of COVID-19 spreads in Britain. The organisation is calling for stronger preventative and control measures, as the COVID mutation can spread more easily between people. The United Nations has urged countries around the world to report and share data in an effort to investigate the mutation.
With summer well underway and Christmas approaching, the Bureau of Meteorology says Christmas Day will be less of a scorcher this year, with coastal areas expected to peak at around 30 degrees. But don't forget the sunscreen, as it will get up to the high 30s in the inland suburbs. Here's James with a full forecast.
Hi, I'm James Ashley. I'm a meteorologist with the Bureau of Meteorology here in Perth. The Christmas period for WA looks pretty hot, particularly in inland parts where temperatures will soar up into the 40s. For Perth itself, we're looking at a pretty hot lead up to the Christmas with temperatures in the high 30s, up around 38 or 39 on Christmas Eve, about 35 on Christmas Day and then dropping to 33 on Boxing Day. A marked contrast between coastal parts and inland parts of the city, with temperatures closer to 30 on Christmas for coastal areas, and suburbs in the east will get up into the high 30s for Christmas Day. Hot through most of the state, mainly the far southwest corner, with temperatures will be 20 to 25 around the Margaret River, around the coast to Albany. Up north, we're staying in the sort of mid-30s for places like Broome and Port Hedland. Weather-wise, just showers and thunderstorms through the Kimberley and Pilbara, and extending a little bit further south on Boxing Day. But generally, hot conditions through most parts, a little cooler in the southwest for Christmas Day. Merry Christmas and have a great break.
And Ivan, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. As many of you know, I rarely make a commentary, but I will make an exception this time. 2020 is coming to a close, and I just want to say we couldn't have done it without you. Every single one of you. From you, the viewer, to our small but effective team, to the newsmakers, the decision makers that have opened their doors to share their stories and hardships with us. Thank you. With the trust you have given us, we've returned with many exclusive stories that have made you stand up and take notice. We were the first media to report and confirm that at least 6 Western Australians were trapped in Wuhan at the beginning of this pandemic. Various other exclusive stories related to the pandemic followed. During the daily live press conferences, I've realized that you have many questions. So what I've decided to do immediately was to ask them on your behalf as you watched and commented. Hundreds of you responded daily, urging us to ask more, and we did. Apart from COVID, we also live streamed the BLM rally in Perth, follow-up issues regarding the First Nations people, to the coverage on the future of Fremantle Port, and unveiled the bowling club lease debate in Melville. We have followed and keep digging every step of the way. As a result of your trust, this year WAMN News Online have reached a record 2 million people for 2020, most of them in WA, 4.5 million video views, and a record engagement of more than 750,000 people in the month of March. What an extraordinary achievement this is for everybody, especially to you who have chose to make the switch to WAMN News. Though it's been a stormy year, this little independent news service have weathered the tempest, and with your support every step of the way has come out stronger and better than ever. And on behalf of the WAMN News team, we give thanks to you, and we will achieve even more together in 2021.
And that's our final weekly news and current affairs for 2020. Thanks again for your support this year. You can always read the latest stories on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
A regular news service will return from the 12th of January, and Sunday evening news and WP program will return from the 17th of January. Until then, from Sarah and myself, we wish you have a safe Christmas. As always, wish you good health and good night.
See you next year. Take care.